Welcome back to Patriots No Huddle, brought to you by PatsFans.com. Steve Balch, Jerry, Derek Havens. Unfortunately, Mike Diabate couldn't join us tonight. He was dealing with family issues, so hopefully all is well there. He'll be back, and we'll the three of us, the three Musketeers, will get back together midweek to go ahead, and we'll get Mike's thoughts later in the week. We can digest. He's usually more level-headed anyway. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to rant and rave. I'm going to let Steve go first. But I'm going to rant and rave because the Patriots just lost a game in Week 3 to the Pittsburgh Steelers that they shouldn't have lost. They deserve to lose, but they shouldn't have. So we can kind of circle back into that. I do want to thank everyone who's listening live. I want to thank everyone who's downloading this later and watching us. Please do subscribe to us on our Pats Fans YouTube channel. Also, like, share, leave us a review on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Keeps us high on those podcast rankings where other Patriots fans can find us. Steve, before we do anything, before my blood pressure elevates higher than it already is, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm just, hey, I'm doing peachy, man. It's another day in the neighborhood, right? I mean, where do you go with this today? I mean,
hang on. I'm so sorry to cut you off literally this early into the podcast. Where do we go is a very interesting talking point for so many different things in this thing, because the Patriots now are 1-2, right?
They're 1-2.
Yep, they probably should have won, and they basically shot themselves in the foot the entire afternoon.
Oh, it was the mantra. I mean, going back to day one when Mike Vrabel took over was, how do you overcome bad football? Well, the first thing you do is don't play very stupidly, and kill yourself with mistake after mistake after mistake. And this, the Steelers had barely 200 yards of offense, and and the Patriots, just shot themselves in the foot. The penalties, some of those were, I thought, extremely ticky-tack, and we'll get to that.
We'll get to that too.
Yeah, because there was back-to-back penalties I thought were just horrible. There was another one later in the game that I thought was horrible, but, it is what it is, and you just have to overcome those. But, I hate to say it because we raved about him last week, but, I mean, Ramondre Stevenson goes from hero to zero just like that today.
He was the best player on the field last week, Steve.
Yep.
And I think
week 2,
best player on the field. Week 3 maybe cost you the game.
And I think it's time they have a serious discussion about him at this point. Is he a very talented player? Absolutely. I think he's a really, really good running back. But you just can't have a guy that's coughing up the ball that many times. No. It's no longer an anomaly. It's a trend. He did it 7 times last year. He did it twice today. I mean, if he holds,
and he already didn't he have one week 1 as well?
Yes.
So
he had a fumble, but they didn't lose it.
Yeah, they didn't lose it, but I understand there's a slight difference there. But to me, to your point of the trend, I still kind of include it because he's still coughing it up. So just because they got attacked doesn't mean, he put
it on the ground 3 times this year. Yeah. And, if he holds onto the ball for 6 more inches, they have a touchdown.
Well, between Antonio Gibson fumbling, Ramondre twice, Drake's ridiculous interception. What else do we got? We got Demario Douglas for some reason not falling forwards, jumping backwards. We, 5 turnovers, and they still have a chance to win the game, and now we're here. It's like
the interception was tipped. So
yeah, because it was a bad pass, though. So it was tipped, but it was a bad pass.
But I want to circle back to that because I thought that whole sequence was so bizarre on their part.
Yeah.
You basically go 90 something yards, because at one point they were on their own 4-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
You go all the way down the field, you're chewing them to pieces, and you have 3 timeouts. Why aren't you running the football there at least once? I don't get it.
Maybe because they don't have a lot of faith in the running backs.
They were chewing them up.
I know.
They didn't go 90 yards strictly on Drake Mason. They were running the ball as well.
Well, let me get into this because we have a lot of things to circle back to, and it's obviously going to be a shorter show. So,
it
was
a total mess all day long.
It's amazing. It's a game that I'm going to try not to Stephen A. Smith this too much, so I'm not talking for like 3 minutes, okay? But I'm going to just rapid fire through these things.
Mm-hmm.
That was a frustrating game to watch as a fan, because you're like, if you could just play cleaner football, that's a game that you should have won. The Patriots pretty much dominated 2.5, 3 quarters of that game, but they just kept giving it away. Like you said, the Steelers, I'll look it up right now.
They had 203 yards of offense.
203 yards of offense. I thought the front seven specifically, they had some missed tackles, but they really did a great job on Jalen Warren. And I thought they made Aaron Rodgers look like a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
He passed for 139 yards.
Yeah. And somehow we're several turnovers deep, and the game is tied. And I'm sitting here being like, well, what happened? Like, how is that even possible? And like, if you want to spin it as a positive person, you could say, well, hey, you know what? They still need to clean up the penalties, which were an issue. They still need to clean up the turnovers. But the fact they're going after a team that's a borderline playoff team and going head to head with them, and they still have a chance to win this game late, I guess you could make a case there's progress there. I think you could make that case. If you want to be a positive, shout out to Russ Goldman, rose-colored glasses kind of guy, you could make a case. You could make a case that that's actually a positive thing. Now, the negative thing for me would be that there's a trend in the wrong direction for the last 2.5 years.
And I was watching that final drive, and I'm watching them go, and they moved down the field. They got all the way to, I believe it was the 28-yard line in Pittsburgh, when they had that 4th and long 1, short 2, whatever you want to call it. And I'm thinking to myself, if they score here, I would go for 2, because you have no business winning this football game. 0, not with 5 turnovers. And you might be able to actually steal a game that you absolutely, positively did not deserve to win.
Steve, I don't want to say the Patriots deserve to lose. I don't want to say the Steelers deserve to win. It was kind of like they were playing back and forth, and they were trying to give the game away both sides. And Greg, thanks for listening live and appreciate the comment. I want to bring it back up real quick. He says, for those not watching, he said some very bad fundamentals were displayed today. This loss was not on the defense. I would say, from a defensive standpoint, the 2 biggest people, I thought Christian Ellis had a really rough day. They started substituting Jack Gibbons in. I thought actually Kyle Duggar had a good day. I thought the defensive line had a pretty good day. Again, the front seven in general, I would say, but they've really Gonzalez. It wasn't on the defense. You're right. It was more on the offense, and that's a big problem.
They had a tremendously poor first quarter, and then after that, they moved the ball pretty much at will all game long.
But then they would get in. They had 3 turnovers inside the 10. 2 of them basically in the end zone.
So
those are killers. If you took away
absolute killers,
now, as my friend Paul Perillo would say, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Be my uncle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know it's hard to get into the if game, but if they don't turn over those things in the end zone, I think they're up. I think they're up, and they win by double digits.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I thought they would win going away.
The Steelers couldn't move. They couldn't move the ball there until the very end, after that first quarter. And the defense. And I thought Robert Spillane had a great game.
I thought Spillane played well. I thought Duggar played well.
15 tackles.
I think that you won't hear this from too many people, and I'm going to go back and we'll circle back because we'll get Mike's comments midweek before we preview the game since he can't join us tonight. But I think someone who's not going to get enough credit, Steve, right away is Marte Mapu. I thought he did a really good job on Pat Frymuth and Jonnu Smith at times in coverage. I thought he did a really nice job with those guys, and at least my instant reaction, the game ended a couple hours ago, and I haven't had a chance to look back at it a second time, which I will do tomorrow. But yeah, dude, Quig, you're right on the money, buddy. Chicago had a great game. He had a sneaky good game, and Milton Williams was impactful. Barmore,
once again,
not an issue. Front seven, not really big an issue. The biggest issue on the front seven today was Christian Ellis missing some tackles. And he made a play.
But the run defense was, the run defense was once again really, really good. I mean, the Steelers ran for 64 yards.
Are you looking at the attempts? Do you mean to look at the attempts?
2.5 yards per carry. 2.5 yards per carry.
Yeah, Warren was 18 for 47, 2.6. Gainwell 4 for 16, 4 yards. But he only got Rogers ran 4 times, only had 1 yard.
It's just,
their
errors.
Their highest receiving yardage was by Calvin Austin and Warren. And that was 34 yards apiece. So it's not like they killed you through the air.
And most of that came on the touchdown, I think, to Austin. Wasn't that 20? No, that was like 19, I think.
Yeah, it was a decent. It was a good pass and it was a good catch. Shout out to Russ.
Russ,
just in case you're listening, you listen back to it, Russ. I'm not making fun of you, I swear to God. But
offensive.
No, I was just going to say, Steve, I was just going to say really fast. I was just going to say that this is not a game that the Steelers deserve to win this game, but the Patriots gave this game to them. You look at every statistic, you watch the game over, the Patriots basically were just like, no, you can take it. No, you can win. There was no reason for this game to be where it was today, based on whatever they did. Aside from the Patriots with penalties and turnovers. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the play design that they had.
They had a couple
I thought they moved the ball well all game long. And, I thought Hunter Henry had,
excellent game.
Yeah. And, he was one of the guys I wrote about that I thought, might be in line for a big day today. I was hoping to see a little bit more of Stephon Diggs, but again, he's still working his way back. I thought he had a couple of nice plays. And Drake May, other than, to me, it wasn't so much the interception, but the fumble, because to me it looked like he was going to do a very stupid thing and try to shovel pass it when he was going down. Just take the sack.
And I think that he did have. I thought it was. I think it's interesting how Josh is getting him more in boots. Kind of like sweeping out of the pocket and doing things, kind of using his mobility. I thought there was a couple of plays. I think there was at least 3 that I counted where they weren't big runs, but they were runs for first downs. I mean, he had to have had. I have to go back again and I'll chart it.
But it keeps the sticks moving, and that's the whole point. they kept the drives. They kept the drives going. I thought they dominated time of possession. And again, it was just, I mean, just really bad mistakes. It's like all these fumbles. And I mean, this is stuff you should be 2-1 right now. Instead, you're chasing, trying to get back to 500 again. And this was a game they should have had. It was at home. They had all that emotion from the day before with the Hall of Fame stuff. Everything was pointing in the right direction. And they just absolutely, I mean, again, the mistakes, the penalties. And but there were so many positives. You could sit there and watch a highlight reel if you take out all the 5 turnovers, and you'd say, man, it looked like they dominated this game. But they, you are what your record says you are, as Bill Parcells used to say. And they are a 1-2 team. And today they look like a bad 1-2 team.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things, Steve, that's so frustrating because you can see that I know this is kind of outlandish to say after losing a game like that with 5 turnovers, so many penalties. The penalties honestly pissed me off more than the turnovers, but that's whatever. I mean, both are bad. You can't have 5 turnovers and win a football game, but the penalties to me are more about discipline and more about guys kind of locking in and yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough, but to me, I can still see ascension from this team. I can still see them actually building, and I know that's crazy right now to look at it and see that, but I can see them going and you have 3 road games now back to back next couple of weeks. You got a team that just wiped the floor with the Falcons today that you have to visit next. And I'm not saying that they're road beaters, but don't tell me that you're anything to talk about. I'm not saying the Patriots are going to be a top 5 pick again, but just don't say that we can just start chalking wins up. That's not going to happen. So for me,
they are in no position to be looking at their schedule saying this is a win.
Yep. Yeah, no, they can't. You can't. This is not the Patriots going 14-2 with Tom Brady in the 16-game schedule, and going to the AFC Championship game and just seeing what happens against Baltimore or whoever else it is. I need to see them clean up their own stuff, because if they could stop self-inflicting wounds, I do think they would be where they're at. And Steve, we talked on the last podcast midweek last week as we're previewing the game. We wanted to see this as a measuring stick game. The Steelers are a borderline playoff team, usually float right around 500, usually north of that, because I don't think Mike Tomlin's ever had a losing season. This is a game where you want to go ahead and cement yourself as a player that I'm not telling you that the Patriots are going deep into the postseason, but you're not telling me that, especially with the Joe Burrow injury, the Patriots couldn't get one of those 3 wild card spots and get in there, and be.
Not if they play like they did today.
Not if they do that. No, sir. No, sirree. So we can't do that. The next player I want to talk about too, which is a really big issue. Well, actually, real quick, one thing, and then I want to get to what I was going to bring up. But I think people need to realize that this was never going to be. I know that they've been rebuilding since Tom Brady left. But people have to realize you went from Mayo to that whole transition, Bill, that whole transition, Mayo. Now it's Vrabel's first year. he's only had one off season to flip this roster. He knew that wasn't going to be a one-off season thing. We're only 3 weeks into this thing. I know they're 1-2. I still think they're going to float right around 500. I think they're going to be competitive, but they still have a lot of work to do. And I'm not saying that they are not saying that. I'm just saying that fans have to go ahead and kind of measure those expectations, because I think that's unfair to a roster that's won 8 games combined in the last 2 years. And the Patriots haven't won back-to-back games. They had the opportunity today, but they haven't won back-to-back games in 3 years. So this is since I think October of 2022, definitely 2022, maybe.
Yeah, it was October.
Yeah. So that needs to be talked about, because this is the thing that needs to be. You drafted bad, as my boy Quigg said. You draft bad for a long time. You have turmoil. You have coaching staff. You have the greatest quarterback walk out the door. You draft a quarterback that doesn't work out. You have to develop another one. A new offensive coordinator every single year. Injuries. You're gonna need a little time to heal there. You're not slapping a Band-Aid on that motherfucker. Sorry, Miguel. It's a family show. I apologize. Okay. So you're not slapping a Band-Aid on that, but it does need to be a thing that you want to see them progress and move forward. But Steve, one of the guys I wanted to mention to you, and I don't want to dump on him too hard, but he ended the season pretty strongly, and his teammates' absence, Christian Gonzalez, has only kind of put a microscope on him. But man, Alex Austin has had a brutal 2 weeks, and he killed the team early today.
Yeah, he's had a rough time of it, and
he had
at this point, you worry about his confidence moving forward,
especially at that position.
Yeah, guys are going to have, especially young guys in his position, they're going to have bad games. But when you start stacking them on top of each other, then excuse me, then you risk destroying this guy's confidence moving forward. I'll be curious if Gonzalez plays next week against Carolina. I know he practiced this week. They definitely could use him back there, because it kind of has that snowball effect on the entire defense. Although, again, you can't sit there and say, "Oh man, they got picked apart." Yeah, they hit some big plays. That one up the seam to Jonnu Smith, I think, was 20 yards. But other than that, it wasn't the defense today. It was the offense, and it wasn't the offense not being able to move the football, because they were. It was, they had almost 400 yards of offense today.
Mm-hmm.
It was the turnovers, and these are it's completely unacceptable. And you can't have that moving forward, because that can derail a lot of things. But I worry about Alex Austin at this point. I didn't think the safeties had a bad game at first glance. We'll have to go back and rewatch the tape later, either tonight or tomorrow. But and again, I thought the run defense was outstanding again. 64.
Yeah, like I said, they had I think as we talked about earlier, I thought Williams showed up. I thought Barmore made some plays. I thought Tonga looked good. Landry and Chason were relatively quiet. I thought Spillane had probably his best game of the 3, I would say.
15 tackles. Yeah.
I would say, I without looking at it a second time, that's kind of what. I thought he had a decent game. I did think, like we talked about, Ellis had a couple of issues, which is why Gibbons was in so much. I agree with you with the safeties. The cornerbacks are hurting right now. Offensively, I would have liked to see more from the receivers. I didn't. I don't know. I saw some people. I have two questions for you, but I'll do it one at a time.
Well, and again, back to the final play offensively. I mean, you have a fourth and a long one, a short two, whatever you want to call it. Why
Story of my life.
Why is your wide receiver running a 1 yard route? I mean,
why is he not just falling forward? If he catches the ball and just falls forward, it's a first.
It looked like he might have had it, but again, that's easy to say from,
it is tough with those angles. Look at the D Ford situation with the the Patriots in the AFC Championship. I mean, 6 years ago.
If he thought he was short when he caught it, shorter, I can understand where he's.
But why is he even running? Why are you running a route and not getting to the sticks anyway?
That's my point.
That's a teaching point.
But they've been doing this for so long now. It's like, it's not just this year. They were doing it last year. I mean, how many times in the year before? How many times did we say, you don't run a 4th and 3 route 2 yards? Today was a 4th and 2. They ran a 1 yard route. I mean, get beyond the sticks. That's like Pop Warner stuff.
That's pee-wee football shit, bro. Like that. Again, Miguel, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be doing that. I'm just.
I don't get that.
It pisses me off.
Get beyond the sticks, even if you have to just catch it, lay down. All you want is to move the sticks.
That's all you need.
You're not looking for a big play there. All you want is a couple of yards, keep the offense on the field, and keep going.
Well, that's why I feel like I'm so frustrated with this game, Steve. Just to wrap that point into everything else is like you have multiple turnovers inside the 10-yard line. You have 5 on the day. You have a lot of penalties. You have missed tackles, and then you have guys on a 4th and 1, 4th and 2, give or take situation that aren't even getting to the sticks. Like, this is basic stuff. You killed yourself. This is a game that Russ would be, him and I would be going like cats and dogs at, because I'd be marginalizing the loss, because that is a game the Patriots should have not lost this.
No, I mean,
the Patriots basically doubled them.
They deserve to lose.
They did. The Steelers didn't deserve to win, but the Patriots deserved to lose. Both can be true. And they basically.
The Steelers did. They did what they had to do.
They did.
But I
on
mean,
the road. Absolutely.
A lot of national guys were just harping on what a great game their defense had, and honestly, I thought they got pushed around a lot today.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
But I mean, that's an ugly win's better than a pretty loss. So they're 2-1 now. I'm on the fence with this situation with Ramondre. I mean,
so I'm so happy that. So when I just prefaced that I was going to ask you 2 questions or say 2 things, that was the second one. So I'm glad that you're leading the horse to water here. What do you do? Because if I'm Mike Vrabel, I'm just telling you right now, if I'm Mike Vrabel, I am calling, or I'm talking a stretch, and I'm calling 3 agents tonight. I'm finding 3 veteran receivers, and I want them all on Monday or Tuesday to come to the facility, and I'm bringing somebody in at the very least to kick the tires, or to at least put a little pressure on them. And you could make the argument, well, more pressure could actually make it backfire. But what's there to lose?
Yeah. Well, at this point with Ramondre, and again, there's 3 fumbles on the year.
7 last year. Gibson had 1. Yeah. I know we had I'm not worried about Gibson the way I'm worried about Ramondre. Gibson,
no,
it was a bad fumble, but he had a good special teams play. Henderson. He's gonna figure things out, but he's playing his 3rd game in the pros. Ramondre is a highly paid running back that now has 10 turnovers, or 9 with a couple on the ground that were recovered. in the last couple of games, between last year and now.
Well,
It's time to have
the simple fact of the matter is you can't trust him right now.
no.
You can't.
But
So,
what do you do? Seriously, what do you do? Do you?
Well, I
do
think
you,
think
you bench him. You could actually hurt his confidence even more.
Well, I mean, look,
But I don't know what
you have
supposed to do.
you
Have
have
him
to
carry
look out.
around a football in the facility the entire week.
You have to look out for the football team at this point.
Yeah,
You do.
He's killing them.
I don't want to sound like Bill Belichick here, but you have to do what's best for the football team, and you can't drive 90 yards down the field and have your running back cough it up on the 6-inch line. You can't do that. And Quigg made another point where I firmly agree. I'm on the fence with Douglas now too. I thought Douglas was going to have a monster season.
We
with
both
Josh
did.
McDaniels, and I don't know. I mean, I'm on the fence with him too, because that's a mistake that you can't make, especially at crunch time like that.
I think Alex Austin, Pop Douglas, and Ramondre Stevenson should all be on notice this week, because I think that Efton Chisholm is the 6th receiver on this team and was going to be inactive unless there was an injury. But I think Pop is opening that window. And I think Alex Austin had a good camp, had a good end to last year, but has been absolutely horrible the last 2 weeks, or 2 out of the last 3 weeks. Really, like 9 out of the last 12 quarters, if we're talking about it as a whole.
Yeah. And again, I mean, look,
I'm like, I don't even know where you go from here. Like to me, Steve, at the very least,
well, and Douglas hasn't
switching Gibson and Stevenson roles.
Douglas hasn't been used exclusively this year very much, right? He's been kind of invisible in the game plan. I think moving forward, I don't know whether you inactivate him for Chisholm at this early point of the season, but I think now you're at the point where I'm starting to lean more. I want to see more Kyle Williams. Okay, he only caught one pass today. I didn't see him on the field a whole heck of a lot. We'll have to rewatch the game tape and see what the snaps were. But I mean, he brings that element of speed to the outside. And they've shown they can attack the seams. I thought, as we said, Hunter Henry was fantastic today. I thought he had easily his best game of the year. And Austin Hooper, I mean, he's Austin Hooper, right? So I think I like where they're at with the 2 tight ends right now. But I have questions about Douglas moving forward, and especially with Ramondre. I think you have to sit him. You have to.
Like I said, I don't think you can get away with. I don't see how you go into week 4 and you don't at the very least, switch Gibson and Stevenson's roles, where Gibson's the lead back, Henderson you work in, and Stevenson gets a couple of touches, but he's not going to be the lead back. I just don't see how you go with him as the lead back next week. I can't.
And so you're looking at
him, but I mean,
well, now you're looking at your offense. It's gonna change,
right?
Because Stevenson is a different kind of back than Gibson and Henderson are. So Josh McDaniels. I mean, and again, I don't want to harp too much on Josh, other than that one sequence at the end of the half, because I thought he called a really good game. Everything was moved. They were moving the football. They just couldn't hold on to it. And again, they should have scored a lot more than 14 points. But so how do you now? The question becomes: okay, you had a nightmarish game today at home. Once again, they've been so terrible at home the past couple of years, and you have a nightmarish game. Now, how do you move forward? You're going on the road to a Carolina team that everyone earlier in the season had this one, already check marked off as a win, and they just destroyed the Atlanta Falcons today. Destroyed them. I mean, I think it was 30-0. This is not a check the block. Oh yeah, we're just going to show up and win. No, they need to do a lot better in a lot of aspects of the game. And number one is protecting the football. I thought, overall, the pass protection wasn't bad. I know the Steelers had 5 sacks, but when you're playing from behind all game long, that's going to happen, especially when you can't cash in on the opportunities that you had. I guarantee you the sacks would have been down if they were hitting on those red zone, plays earlier in the, in the contest. So, but it is what it is. I liked what I saw from the young guys on the offensive line today. And again, they averaged 4.1 yards a carry again for the second week in a row. So they're running the football. I think they ended up, it wasn't as many yards as last week, but it was close. I think it was like 115.
Yeah. Something like that. I'll have to. I would add it up, but
yeah, 119 yards on the ground again. They ran for 121 last week. Both times averaged 4.1 yards a carry. I mean, that's you're running the ball effectively. They just can't hold on to it. And Drake May brings a lot of that out because when he gets flopped.
What's the phrase, Steve? You gotta not win, or you gotta not lose before you can win.
Well, you have to learn.
And the Patriots need to learn that.
You have to learn how to not lose before you can learn how to win.
Yeah.
And today was a prime example of that.
Today is the if there was a video in Webster's dictionary when you looked up that phrase, today's game would be the perfect example.
My Lord.
Anyways, I know you need
and again,
to go.
I mean, it was just an ugly football game. And it's like I thought they would be on this, but they obviously are not. So they have a lot of things to clean up before they head out to Carolina, who's we'll see.
Played decent this year and had a good, strong finish to last year. I just want to say two things, Steve, because I want to move into final thoughts here. Okay, so I'll give my final thoughts. I'll go to you, and then I'll take us out. I do think that the Patriots in general have improved. I know it's hard to kind of hear that as a fan, whether it's live or whether you're listening later. They're 1-2. They had a really sloppy loss against the Steelers week 3. I get the frustration. It is a frustrating loss. I don't want to downplay it. But I do want to also say that I do think they're better. What I would say to people is that I think that what we've seen through 3 weeks, Steve, is that you're seeing a lack of depth on this Patriots team. So, I had mentioned to you on one of our many off-air conversations, what are the 5 positions that the Patriots need to improve on? And you could talk about free safety, you could talk about corner depth, you could talk about maybe you're a little worried about edge rusher because, I think Chase Young's going to be around for a while. Harold Landry's on a 3-year deal, but he probably will only play for 2. Still, your right tackle, your right guard could be an issue, depending on different things. Your right guard's paid a lot of money. Your right tackle's 37 years old. Garrett Bradbury's been good, but we only kind of expect him to play for a year unless Jared Wilson is going to go ahead and stay a left guard. And he's playing out of position, but he's played pretty well. So you just leave him there, and then you need the center. Now you have a running back that you're paying a lot of money to that needs some money that can't hold on to the football. You got a fullback spot that really hasn't been filled, and you have a first-time coaching staff kind of working itself through for a couple of weeks. You have two veteran tight ends that are really solid, but both kind of getting long in the tooth. I don't want to fear monger, but like you have a lot of questions on this team moving forward. It's better. It's better than what it was, but it still has a long way to go. So my advice to Patriots fans is to say that, hey, they outplayed a solid football team. I don't think they're good. I'm not going to classify the Steelers as a good football team. I think the Patriots outplayed the Steelers today for 75% of the way. But in the National Football League, it's a 60-minute game, and the Patriots shot themselves in the foot. And until they start cleaning up these penalties and these turnovers, these are the kind of results we're going to keep seeing. And so that would be my final thought, Steve, on this.
Well, and again, a couple of the penalties, I mean, there was back-to-back calls on them. The holding call followed by the personal foul penalty, which I thought was horrible. I mean, you have Marcus Jones coming in and trying to blow up the play and tackle the guy. And
yeah, Steve, actually, if you didn't know, this game was brought to you by Tide. It was laundry day because the refs just wanted to just throw flags on everything.
Back to your question, what are the 5 positions? I think they still need more depth, especially wide receiver. I want to see more depth on the offensive line, especially, on the. I'm more worried about the right side than the left at this point. Depth at cornerback, and are they going to go back to the Josh McDaniel?
Right.
Where they carry a full-time fullback, because I haven't seen much from Westover one way or the other, and they are a tight end. I just sat there and told you how great Hunter Henry and Hooper are today, but at the same time, they have to get younger, and that's something that they need to look at moving forward. It's not a priority at the present time, but it's something that's going to need to get addressed. That might wait until next year, but I mean, I think you have a lot of questions about Ramondre right now, and I know he went through a lot this off season, and all of that. Everyone knows he's a great guy. He's an excellent football player, but he can't hold on to the football. And so, I think.
Well, Steve, there's this saying you can't get to the club from the tub. He doesn't really have an injury issue, but right now it's a fumbling issue, and it's the same kind of reference. I mean, he was the best player on the field week 2. You could make the argument. He certainly contributed to it, but you could definitely make the argument he cost you the game in week 3. Certainly. And it's kind of a make or break time. I'm not saying that he doesn't belong in the league. He's talented, like you said, but that can't happen. What happened today cannot happen. And so no. I think there has to be some kind of. I do think you have to be careful about it as a coach, which we'll get into more midweek in the preview show. But I do think you have to put something down to manage it, because you can't put him back out there as a starting running back next week.
He can't be the starter next week. I think you have to sit him. I do think you keep Henderson, kind of working him in as they've been doing as the third running back. I think you switch Stevenson and Gibson's role. Stevenson gets a couple of touches. You try to build this confidence back up, but you make Gibson the full-time running back next week. And I do think you have some veteran running backs
in this week to kick the tires on them, because I do think it's something that needs to happen, you know?
Yep.
So anyways, guys, we're recording this Sunday night.
Rants and raves over.
Yeah, rant and raves over. We went longer than I even thought, but who's freaking surprised, because it's me and I'm long-winded. But you know, it's 9:30 Eastern on September 21st. It'll probably be posted the morning of the 22nd on Monday. Our buddy Mike will be joining us back middle of the week. I'm sure it'll be Wednesday, right around 11 or 12, you know, in the midday. And we'll post that on our Pats Fans channel. Please do, again, subscribe to us on our No Huddle podcast on PatsFans.com. Like, share, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we will see you guys next week. For Steve Balscherry, I'm Derek Havens. Can't wait to talk to you guys soon. Keep your heads up. Brighter days ahead. Talk to you then.